Yes, this is I again, the man from Buzzwalk, better known as JahBunny, the badass. And I'm here today to actually point out a few errors again. It seems that the chicken have been coming home to roost. Now, last week I point out to you that Kapoor had did a telephone interview with the prince, and it is clear that she had asked him question that was not really in the interest of Rastafari. But one has to be very careful with speaking to these people with double tongues, because from the interview that Kapoor did with the prince, you would have never thought that she was setting him up. But now, when you listen to how she's speaking now, it was clear a setup. So, these people have forked tongues. Now, what I was surprised is after the interview, I had listened to Muta Baruka and Jerry Small, and I was very shocked how they trod silently around everything to do with the prince. I heard that Bongo Miguel tried to do some damage control and took him and his program and try was to do correction. But this, I haven't heard what correction was made, but it seems again, despite the correction and everything, the prince did set out to just come and talk with no disregard as to what impact his statements would have on the Rastafari community. So, as I keep telling you all, that I'm the man from Buzzwalk, and the Rastafari that I know, and the way I was risen in this faith, is quite different from what the now generation, and when I say the now generation, I'm including even Muta, because Muta is of now generation, because he is portraying himself as an elder, but I don't think he's standing firm as an elder as to how he did come up in it, because he's very skeptical when it comes to the buzzwalk part of the movement. I notice Miguel is skeptical, Jerry is skeptical, Kapoor is skeptical, and all these people up by the university is very skeptical when it comes to Bakawal, and they would write it off and say, one going back too far, we go to that era, we go to this and with this. You know, they just have so many things to say. But because I don't know some is stuck, and don't know some, I am a disciplined child from Bakawal, I must say respect goes out to two of my bona fide hydrant, and that is Ija Star and Warwick Hill. I also would like to say maximum respect goes out to Fiera to use the Prince head play keep up. But I have this song from Buzzwalk because It is from the youth days. And I'm gonna play this song now. I haven't played no tune phone lately, but I feel I want to play this song. And this song is specifically leviticated to the Asian Council of the Nyabingi, all these youths that is over there, including my African brethren and sisters and elders that claims wanna know. So this song is from high badass to all the chatty mouth Rasta, them will feel them know Rasta business. And here we go.
Little did you know, did you see how my baby turned her back on me? Wow, baby. Oh, she turned me down. Turned me down. Leave me That's how she turned me down. Baby, they've told me that you've got another man. Hey, even go as far and tell me you've got big plans. And little did you know, and little did you see, yes I know it, did you see how my baby turned her back on me? Baby, they've told me that you've got another man. Hey, they even go as far and tell me you've got big plans. And little did you know, yes it is. And little did you see how my baby, how my little bitty baby, how my baby turned her back on me.
Yeah, that song is also dedicated to the Prince. You hear the lyrics say, little did you know, little did you see, you know. A lot of people were talk now, just a talk, they don't know nothing and they not say nothing. Now, Kaboo come back and I don't know if it is damage control she's doing or what. But I know she kick up the Prince real bad. So now I'm gonna make you hear now how Kaboo put it down. Again, respect goes out to her to put in this clarity upon the issue. The Prince didn't him just make a fool of himself because one, I don't know him a Prince for what. I'm gonna know when him visit to Jamaica, how it benefit we or how it enhance any forward progression in the nation. And the thing that also is a big discussion over the Asian Council of the Nyabingi is the statue of His Majesty being erected at this time in Ewa Circle in the cemetery. I again don't understand or fathom what a statue of His Majesty represent at this time. I mean, people have all kind of things to say, and people is free to say, so let them keep saying. But I want to hear what Kaboo have to say.
Many emperors, many royals and royalties across the world. Why is His Imperial Majesty the Emperor Haile Selassie the first important within the context of any heritage celebration, and who you invite to that heritage celebration in Jamaica? The answer is obvious, of course. Rastafari, the only indigenous authentic response to oppression and enslavement and indignities and discrimination, etc., etc., etc. Rastafari identifies His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie I, as Christ in His kingly character. Rastafari, like Muta Baruka, says Haile Selassie is even higher than that. Do you understand what I'm saying? And even while there are those who say there need to be different faculty of understanding, it is still within the context of the divinity of the majesty. Do you see where I'm going? So Rastafari to Jamaica, and Rastafari to Rastafari on the island of Jamaica and anywhere, His Imperial Majesty, I'm talking, His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie, then becomes and is divine to Rastafari. So you invite a guest who is a son of that divine personality and that divine personage to Jamaica to celebrate for Heritage Month. But the son comes in and he says, listen, I am the grandson. This person is not divine. This person is not God. It's a myth. It's a legend. That's the first thing.
Hold up on a minute there, Kaboo. It's clear that I keep saying this, and I know it offends a lot of people when I keep saying Rastafari done. You have people now what tell me say, no, JahBunny, it can't done. Well, let me clarify that. Rastafari done as far as how I did know Rastafari. Remember, I never knew it as no church. So church part take over now, the revolution part type done. Because it is clear that no one in a Jamaica, or even globally right now, is embracing the foundation. The foundation have gone out of the nation. That foundation principle where it was to free I and I so we can be free to do what we want to do, that have gone out of it, and it is clear that the prince's duty was to come and further Christian it down. No one never tell the prince anything about the revolutionary aspect of it. And it is clear that the prince have no intention of even reclaiming the Salamatic throne. So, Kabu come in again.
Second thing, we're waking up this morning to a headline in the newspaper where it says, President of the Crown Council of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, His Imperial Highness Prince Ermias Selassie, is urging members of the local Rastafarian movement to bury their differences. In an exclusive interview with the Jamaica Observer on Wednesday, Prince Ermias, a grandson of the late Emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, who Rastafarians regard as divine, said he is disappointed by a lack of unity among members of the faith. And the article continues that during his visit, Prince Ermias met with Rastafarians at Pit 4. All right, let me take another quick break and come right back. Let me take a quick break and come right back. Soweto Gospel Choir with The Lion Sleeps Tonight in a little while. I'm using it as a music bed, as you have been hearing. But to come back to the conversation we were having just now, and I think it's critical that we have this conversation this morning. It's a monologue, but here we go. So in The Observer, this is an exclusive interview with The Observer. Prince Ermias, quoted by The Observer, says, I have tried to reach out, and the government has been extremely hospitable, for which I'm grateful. And I've tried to meet with as many Rastafarians as I could. And I think we have done a very good job of having good outreach to them. And it's important to send them a message that it pains us to see them divided, and they should unite. Now, I want to say something about this, not on behalf of Rastafari, but on behalf of myself, that this is rude and out of order and disrespectful to Rastafari, and that Prince Ermias could have come into the island and literally given an interview in a camp that is already as it is, and we can say more about that, but then to say what he said for a publication. You know, I remember going into Ethiopia in the early 1990s. I gave an interview to an Ethiopian newspaper. I learned something then, and we hope Prince Ermias can learn something from this, where I criticized the government to some extent, and it was published. And it wasn't, the same morning it was published, a government minister came to my hotel room, and he was very angry, very, very angry. He wanted me to take it back, to retract the statement, to do another interview. He was so angry that he took up a chair from the hotel room. You know, there was a table, it was a suite, and he took up the chair and then fling it down and literally break it up. That's how angry he was. It taught me something then. The societies differ, and that whereas, you know, I'm an heir in Jamaica and I can make certain criticisms, the Ethiopian response to criticisms, you know, was different, and journalists weren't weren't that outspoken anyway, and if you publish that, then you're likely to get into trouble. I say that to say this, that on that level, that was the response. Now, to contextualize it on this level, this is the president of the Crown Council in exile, even though we're talking about Ethiopia. Because we have to understand the dynamics, right? The political dynamics, the Crown Council, the monarchy, the argument for the restoration of the monarchy, and the current, and the government of Ethiopia, and what that would look like, and the people of Ethiopia, and so on. So there's a whole lot there to unpack, right? So it's a Crown Council inside. Now, I am sure that if you ask Minister Grange, she will tell you that Prince Ermias was invited here on the strength of the Rastafari in Jamaica, on nothing else but the strength of Rastafari in Jamaica for Heritage Week, because he is a son of His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie the First. But Prince Ermias' visit, even though Rastafari has gone out to greet him, to meet with him, to shake hands and to beat drums and to dance to the big drum and the little drum and the in-between drum, and have opened their spaces to him, I think that he has disrespected Rastafari and that he needs to apologize. You know, and this is very serious, you know, the point that I'm making. Once again, I'm saying I'm not speaking for Rastafari, and they might very well disagree with me tomorrow morning or later today. But I'm an individual, a Pan-Africanist, who can stand up in the space and speak on behalf of another Pan-African group, which is Rastafari. So here we go. Right? That he was disrespectful. When I interviewed him, he talked about, you know, the idea of the divinity of His Majesty being a myth and a legend. Now, as I said before, we gave him the chance to correct that. He doubled down on that. So this is how he feels. He's not the only person who I've interviewed who have said that. From the Crown Council, I've interviewed Asper Watson, who has said that. Right? I've interviewed other members of the Crown Council over time who have said that. We're in a different time now. He has said that now up to this time. Then he has also called out Rastafari for what he said is a lack of unity within Rastafari. Or Prince Ermias know that. Maybe Rasta telling him, I don't know. But this is what he's saying. Understanding Rastafari, I think, is critical. And I think he hasn't given himself a chance to understand that, unless he's been told this by members of the political hierarchy who invited him in. This is just a point I'm making. You know, how could he give a bold interview like this to say that he is saddened to see the division within Rastafari? I beg to differ on something, and I'm going to tell you what.
Yes, I think it is fair to say that he was programmed from the US to come in and say what he said. Him and his whole family is currently based in the US, and his grandfather. So these are things now that sometimes only no one look upon. The history show that his grandfather also was being programmed by the US. His grandfather visited the US 5 times before him come to Jamaica. And when him come to Jamaica on the same agenda for come tell way and give a church, give a school. Rasta now interpret it saying give a church because we're for churchical. So that's why we becomes churchical now. And him give a school because we didn't need the education. Then him leave and him go to England. So I don't understand why someone would have even take exception with fear to be saying right now we shouldn't be even giving Garvey no pass. Garvey no need no pass. Garvey was right when him burn out Haile Isle. Because Haile Isle did prove himself that him in bed with Babylon more than with his people. You see, when Rasta nowadays Rasta talk, them talk because them want to be political correct when the history in your face that his grandfather was also in course with Babylon against I and I. But make Kabud, because she's the intellect, make she explain it some more.
With me tomorrow morning or later today. But I'm an individual, a Pan-Africanist, who can stand up in the space and speak on behalf of another Pan-African group, which is Rastafari. So here we go. Right? That he was disrespectful. When I interviewed him, he talked about, you know, the idea of the divinity of His Majesty being being a myth and a legend. Now, as I said before, we gave him the chance to correct that. He doubled down on that. So this is how he feels. He's not the only person who I've interviewed who have said that. From the Crown Council, I've interviewed Asper Watson, who has said that. Right? I've interviewed other members of the Crown Council over time who have said that. We're in a different time now. He has said that now up to this time. Then he has also called out Rastafari for what he said is a lack of unity within Rastafari. Oh, Prince Ermias know that. Maybe Rasta telling him, I don't know. But this is what he's saying. Understanding Rastafari, I think, is critical. And I think he hasn't given himself a chance to understand that, unless he's been told this by members of the political hierarchy who invited him in. It's just a point I'm making. How could he give a bold interview like this to say that he is saddened to see the division within Rastafari? I beg to differ on something, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you what I'm differing on in a little while. Got a patch down this morning. By the way, we're going to open the phone lines because we want to hear from you this morning, right? Going to come back to that song too.
I believe in a Jamaica.
Rastafari is divided. People love to say that there is no unity, but they do not speak of the division within the Jamaican society. For example, Prince Ermias has come in as a guest of the government, where tribalism is the order of the day for the government. And they have divided Jamaican people in such a way that we find ourselves spinning like gigs, right? Like chickens without head when they're done with us. So there's a PNP and there's a JLP and that, and it is mad. Now, I don't have to tell you about the divisions in Jamaica, especially from the political sphere. I don't have to tell you about that. You know that the political parties in Jamaica have divided the people of Jamaica along party lines to the extent that we have become Pavlov dogs. When Jamaican people see green, they salivate in a certain way, or they bark in a certain way, they're angry in a certain way, or they're happy in a certain way. When they see the orange, then they salivate in another way. Even the color, even the sight of a green color or orange color physically affect Jamaican people to the extent that they're no different from Pavlov dogs. Now, Prince Ermias is a guest of the government. He did not see that. It is easy to talk about disunity and divisions within Rastafari. I know and I have experienced that when Rastafari need to get together on anything, that thing which Rastafari needs to unite around, that Rastafari unite around it. That is my experience. And I am very qualified to say that. I speak as someone who has arranged, organized, supervised events here at IRFM for 30-odd years that include the participation of Rastafari and every single mansion. And every single time, barring none, we have managed without fuss or fight, without controversy, to bring all of the mansions of Rastafari wherever we're having a particular event, and to have and to see Rastafari working together, uniting around and supporting each other and us in that. I am not saying that there are not disagreements. Rastafari is not a religion, and so you cannot expect uniformity from Rastafari. And even within religion, you have the Anglican, you have the Pentecostals, you have the Church of God, you have the Catholic, and nobody more divided than them. Because some say if you don't baptize in Jesus' name, you're going dead and go to hell. Some say if you don't baptize in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, then you're not right. Some say if you don't speak in tongues, then you're not going to heaven. Some say you have to immerse to baptize. Some say you have to baptize by water in your head. All kinds of differences. All kinds of differences, including the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. That there are differences within the religious structure. There are differences. And you don't call those differences lack of unity. So what is it that you're asking Rastafari to do? To be uniformed? There are different mansions developed in different ways. The 12 tribes of Israel, the Nyabingi, the Bobo Shanti, Ethiopian Africa Black International Congress, the School of Vision, etc., all developed in different ways. And as with a lot of the religious structures that we have now, might have come out. Each might have come out of another one. But the reason why each of them come out of another one is because they, over time, developed a different philosophy. What do you want them to unite around? You? What should Rastafari be uniting around? The Crown Council? Prince Ermias? Or the Ministry of Culture? And so from my indignation right now is that Prince Ermias was a guest of the government of Jamaica only on the basis that he's the son of His Imperial Majesty and President of the Crown Council, which means that only on the basis of as far as he can relate back, and he can relate back to Rastafari. So that what he has done, coming in as a guest of the government of Jamaica, is to insult Rastafari. First of all, you insult Rastafari's God. You insult the divinity of His Majesty. And you know, when I asked him about the Solomonic dynasty, it was pointing to that divinity. The Imperial Majesty points that out you can read the autobiography, you can read the selected speeches, and you can also read the Kebra Nagast, and you can go to Ethiopia and speak with the priests, a lot of the priests who understand this from a different perspective. So this is the point I'm making. I think that Prince Ermias is wrong to have come in and disrespected the group that made it possible for him to be invited to Jamaica. Rastafari might not have seen this as an insult, but it is an insult. It was an insult first when he talked about the divinity of His Majesty as being myth and legend. It's also an insult when he talks about, I've tried to reach out to them. What do you mean by them? It's just a way that he referenced Rastafari. I have tried to reach out, and the government has been extremely hospitable, etc. And I have tried to meet with as many Rastafarians as I could, and I think we have done a very good job of having a good outreach to them. And it is important to send them a message, as it pains us to see them divided, and they should unite. What do you mean by they should unite? What should they unite around? His Majesty talks about organizing and centralizing. And if that's what you're talking about, then that's a whole different thing. But there is a school of thought on the island here in Jamaica that Rastas must unite. But Rastafari must be the only people who unite. Politicians not to unite. Educators not to unite. People in the medical field not to unite. It's only Rastafari supposed to unite. Well, let me tell you this. And I'm not speaking on behalf of Rastafari. I'm speaking as a Pan-Africanist who has lived with, observed, participated in, and been an integral part of Rastafari. Let me tell you this, is that Nyabingi is as united as Nyabingi is going to be. The 12 tribe is as united as 12 tribe is going to be. The Ethiopian Africa Black International Congress are united as they're going to be. And we don't say that, you could have more meetings, that you could have a more structured thing. But listen, I'm not even quite sure what this whole hoopla and hula baloo is about. What do you want from Rastafari? Pay Rastafari reparations. This is what Prince Ermias should have been talking about. He should have challenged the government of Jamaica to pay Rastafari reparations. He should have been talking about the fact that Rastafari are still being discriminated against on the island of Jamaica. He should have been talking about the fact that Rastafari's children cannot go to school in Jamaica with their locks. He should have been talking about the fact that Rastafari still cannot get a job in Jamaica as easy as anybody else, that they're the last on the totem pole. He should have been talking about the level of discrimination against Rastafari, the racism and classism meted out against Rastafari on this island of Jamaica. He should have been talking about how the church scorns Rastafari, how Jamaican people still scorn Rastafari and even their identity. He should have been talking about that, because there are many injustices against Rastafari in Jamaica that would have hoped that Prince Ermias would have taken up than to say Rastafari should unite. Rastafari united and marched against the government for reparations for the Coral Gardens massacre. And then the government turned around and gave them a measly sum, promised them all kinds of things, and still haven't given them all that they promised. These are the issues that Prince Ermias should have been concerned with. And we're not afraid to speak truth to power. I think we must call a spade, and we're not from St. Elizabeth. We can't allow titles like His Royal Highness or any kind of majesty or any kind of royalty to prevent us, to stop us from calling the truth when we see it and from speaking the truth when we see it. I'm going to take a breath, drink some water, and come back.
All right, Cabo. We hear you now, and it's out there. Praying that you have rectified the issue, because you set up the prince and then you come through him under the bus. I mean, what can I say? Well, now in a year, because that interview that him give the Gleaner, it was supposed to make himself clear and make his purpose was to come there to come all the way for unite. But I don't think we have a unity problem, as Cabo say, because it's just a matter of time, man. Just a matter of time. You see, you can't, when the right time come, the right time come. When the right time come and back against the wall, then, you know, you will see how unity come about. Yeah, because if your life depends on unity, then you just have to know the right side and when you have to stand with the right side. So, a lot of people now say them tired for the whole heap of talking and the whole heap of talking and the whole heap of talking. So, soon there will be action time. So, until such time, make sure when action time come, you're ready. Bless upon yourself same way. And keep your eye on the ball and stay focused. Perfect love. And live.